Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Back to Basics. I am Lady B and I am your host today. AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. Now, with a nationwide presence, AARP strengthens communities and advocates for what matters most to more than 100 million Americans, 50 plus, and their families. That includes health and security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment. AARP also produces the nation's largest circulation publications, AARP the magazine and AARP Bulletin. Now, here, finishing up the month of November and going into December, AARP will help you navigate the complicated healthcare system. Caregivers are frequently frustrated by their healthcare system, from Medicare, insurance, and care coordination to inadequate healthcare staffing and medication management. We know helping your loved ones navigate their medical needs is hard, so AARP is your wise friend and is here to provide support and guidance. AARP can help you with resources, expert content, and tools. Our URL is going to crawl across the screen, and you can write that down at any point and plan to visit us. Today, Coach Sherry Ann is going to talk to us about exercising a bit, but aerobic exercise and anaerobic. Is that right?
Yes. Hello, Lady B. How are
Hi,
you?
I won't complain. How about you?
I'm good. I'm so glad that the weather's turned and it's actually cold.
You
It's
know
well,
what? I don't complain either way because it's not snow, so it works for me. That works
I
for
was
me.
going to quantify it. I'm like, it's cold for us. It's not cold for the
Here we
rest of the United
and
States,
I'm
but I'm
loving it. You can pull out a sweater and do a couple of things. No matter where you're joining us from today, please make sure that you let us know that you're here. And if you have questions, feel free to put them into the chat and we will get to them as quickly as we can. Should we run out of time or not get to your question, Coach Sherry Ann will circle back and get to you. Thanks so much. Coach, talk to
yes,
us.
definitely. Thank you for saying that. So I want to share a quote from Muhammad Ali. He says, I never won a fight in the ring. I always won in preparation. And I want to say that because sometimes people find themselves all of a sudden waking up and having this awakening of like, oh my gosh, I'm getting old, like I feel old, and you're in the fight, to try to have the best years of your life, have them be good. And so start thinking it's never too old to start thinking about preparing and being in the best way that you can, and the best health that you possibly can be in. And everyone's always shooting for that. And I mean, whether you're in your 20s or you're in your 80s, you want to be healthy, you want to feel good. No one likes feeling lousy. So thinking about the preparation of that can sometimes feel overwhelming. And longevity has become kind of a buzzword lately, especially with blue zones being on the rise, and just different things of people wanting to make the best of their years. And so when longevity is a bit of, like I said, a buzzword. And with that comes a lot of information to sort through and decipher. And that's where I find like I come into play for a lot of people that I coach, whether I'm coaching them in an endurance event or I'm coaching them in life things. So it's helping decipher all of the information that the web throws at us. Like you could go and Google longevity and all kinds of stuff will be spit out at you. You're like, where do I start? And one of those things is talking about anaerobic versus aerobic activity. So first I want to say the disclaimer that if you're jumping into a exercise routine, whether it's going to be anaerobic or aerobic, check with your doctor. Always check with your healthcare practitioner and make sure that you're in good health and you're ready to start doing something. And then if you're already active, doing aerobic activity and you want to start incorporating anaerobic after this conversation, still check with your healthcare practitioner. If you're using a certified personal trainer at a gym, and I say certified because they will have the ability to guide you, check with them. And they will probably also tell you to check with your doctor. So just make sure that you're in good health before you jump into something new, whether, it's being anaerobic or aerobic. So now that disclaimer's out of the way, and don't be surprised if I say it again, because people will join in the show a little bit later. So aerobic activity. What is aerobic activity? Aerobic activity is when you are using oxygen in your blood to create ATP. So we're going to get a little sciencey here on you for just a quick second. So ATP is adenosine triphosphate. That is the energy, the powerhouse that fuels a cell to do what it needs to do. And so that when you're doing aerobic activity, oxygen is helping create that ATP for you to do that activity. So I quantify aerobic doing a talk test because not everyone wears a heart rate monitor. Not everyone's going to stop and check their heart rate and see how it's going. So if you can do a talk test, so when you're doing an aerobic activity and you can still hold a decent conversation, get 3 words out without having to gasp for air, then you're staying aerobic. If you get to the point to where you cannot say 3 words without gasping for air, then you're moving over into an anaerobic activity. So anaerobic can't use oxygen to create ATP because you're needing that energy faster than it can be converted. And so what happens is the body then, sciencey for you here now, is you go into a phosphagen system. So creatine phosphate starts creating that ATP, but that only works for about up to 30 seconds. So if you're doing something longer than 30 seconds in an anaerobic state, then you start creating, you go through an anaerobic glycolysis. What that is your body is pulling glucose from your blood and converting it into ATP. And that will last for about 30 seconds to 3 minutes. So the whole point of that is when people are doing an anaerobic activity, you really can't do true anaerobic activity longer than 3 minutes. The body just produces a byproduct called lactate. So if you've ever done anything physical to where your muscles are starting to burn, then that is lactate in the muscle. And it's a byproduct that your body can't, get rid of it fast enough. So have you ever done anything, whether it be dancing or anything, Lady B, where all of a sudden you're like your legs are burning?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So that's that lactate that's starting to build up. And that means you're doing some anaerobic activity. And you really can only go for so long. Your body just isn't going to go any farther. So you're automatically going to slow down. And then you're back to an aerobic form where your oxygen is creating the ATP in the cell. So since if you're watching the show, if you have any questions about anything I just shared, or you need me to repeat it, please post it in the comments. But Lady B, broad strokes, does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And I think people understand that when we think about some of the exercise programs that are out there, the high intensity or whatever, because the anaerobic has a lot to do with short bursts of intensity. So it's not something like you say that is prolonged, but if I can run 30 seconds or however long and then slow down to a fast walk or whatever, and then do it again. So I think we got it.
Yes. And you said it. People will hear the word HIIT, and it's HIIT. And what that stands for, if you see that anywhere, it's high intensity interval training. And Lady B nailed it. Like you're doing short bursts where you're increasing your activity level and increasing that heart rate. And it's really, really good because there's a lot of benefits that come from anaerobic activity. But right now, it's interesting because the Department of Health of Human Services, like they really promote, and you've also heard me on this show on Back to Basics talk about getting your cardio in and getting out there and doing at least at minimum, shooting for, I say 150 minutes a week, and you can break that up however you see fit. And if you can just do 5 days of 30 minutes of exercise, that's huge. And if you can do more than that, awesome. And even in those 30 minutes, if it has to be 15 in the morning and 15 at night due to your schedule or your ability, that's still beneficial for you. And so it's really important because when we are doing aerobic activity, what's happening when you are doing an aerobic activity, and I say you have to be able to do the talk test, because you are going to be breathing more deeply and your heart rate's going to increase. And when that's happening, what it's doing is it's flushing blood to the muscles and the extremities so that they can have oxygen so they can actually do the activity that they need to do. And so, but when you're doing that, you're also cycling your blood. And when you're cycling your blood, it's actually getting clean. So, because when it comes back, it brings byproduct back and it just everything gets cycled. So you're in essence cleaning your blood when you're doing aerobic activity. And it's really fun because if you're into doing aerobic activity and you've ever had the endorphin kick, people will talk about endorphins, and they're natural. That's our body's natural painkillers. It's a feel good endorphin rush that people will get when they start doing aerobic activity. And that's another thing. Like it's a feel good thing. So there's a lot of benefits to doing aerobic activity. So I just want to continue to impress upon people the importance of doing aerobic activity, because not only are you cleaning, your blood as it's cycling through your body, but it's going to help you keep unwanted excess pounds at bay. Keep you, your body weight in check, and being less sedentary. It's going to increase your stamina. And when you increase your stamina and strength and fitness, another huge benefit that comes along with that is your independence, maintaining your independence as you age. I've done a whole show on maintaining your independence, because what happens when you don't maintain your independence, like say you aren't doing your cardio or your strength training and you fall and you have a broken hip or another broken bone, that tends to take away your independence because you have to rely on some other people to help you out. So it's going to increase your stamina and your fitness and your strength, and also that independence, that source of independence. Aerobic activity also, when it's cleaning your blood, is it's making your immune system and immune response that much stronger. So you're able to ward off illnesses and viral illnesses. And so this time of year, everyone's gone to get either their COVID booster or their flu shot or both, which is great. But doing exercise is like getting a vaccine or taking a pill. It's one of the best things that you can do for yourself. It's going to help you ward off those unwanted viral illnesses, especially during this time of year. It's also going to reduce typical health risks like obesity, heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes. And we all want to keep those at bay. So just, get out and do your aerobic activity. It's going to help you manage chronic conditions such as arthritis or coronary artery disease. If you've been diagnosed with coronary artery disease, the number one thing that most doctors tell people is get out and be physical. Go do your aerobic activity to help cleanse your blood and keep plaques at bay. Your heart's actually going to be more efficient. So people think that raising their heart rate, like it's going to stress the heart, but it does stress the heart, but it stresses it in a good way and it makes it stronger, so that when you're not exercising, your heart is actually more efficient. So your resting heart rate will be much lower. And sometimes actually not sometimes, it's really good to have a low resting heart rate, because it just proves that your heart is very strong and efficient and it can pump effectively. So that's a huge, huge plus. Gosh, what else? Oh, your mood, and you'll sleep better. If you're doing, cardio on a regular basis, aerobic activity, your mood will be boosted because you have those endorphin highs, and then you've actually used your body. You've made it tired, so that when you do go sleep at night, you're actually going to sleep so much better. I mean, the list is so long, lady, as far as when it comes to doing aerobic activity. So and anaerobic, and we're going to dive into why we want to incorporate anaerobic. But aerobic, just you're going to live better longer. And if you haven't dove into doing some aerobic activity, definitely talk to your doctor. Once again, if you're coming from the couch, you definitely want to go talk with your doctor and make sure that you're prepared and what you're capable of doing. And less is more in the beginning, especially if you're new to something. Just do a little bit, and then you can build on that. And, and like I've said before, I'll say it again, 150 minutes is the goal. That's like the minimum goal. You can break that up however you want. I just try to say, do 5 days of at least 30 minutes. And that could be a slew of things. Like it could be, if you like to jog and you're capable of jogging, it could be that. It could be walking briskly. It could be if you are in a place where you can ski, because I know this is, people from all over the United States, there it is. Nordic skiing is one of the most fun, great activities because it's low impact, but it's good cardio, and you're out in nature. And I mean, if I lived where I could Nordic ski, I would definitely be doing that on a consistent basis. You could swim if you're capable of riding a bike. You could go ride a bike, even a beach cruiser down on our I call it the bridle path, but the green belt. Getting out and doing step aerobics. At AARP, we have a slew of resources for you, and you can go take a step aerobics class, which is a lot of fun and would be a hoot. Did I say dancing? Dancing, even if it's recreational dancing. If you are part of a fitness facility, they have machines, like they have ellipticals where you can go in, or a stair climber. So you're in a confined environment where it's safe. You have handles to hold on to. You can do a stair climber or an elliptical. There's a lot of ways to get in aerobic activity. And just, I can't impress upon people enough how important it is to make sure you're getting that in. So, so now let's dive into a little bit of anaerobic. And
Before we get there, let me just say, please, that as I listen to you, I see the 150 minutes. That just sounds like a lot. Can we just please break it down and say 30 minutes, 5 days a week?
yeah,
I think it's more palatable. I think I'm like 150. It just sounds like a lot to my brain. And while it really isn't in the scheme of things, it just, so I don't think we have to be overwhelmed. What Coach is saying is 30 minutes a day, 15 in the morning, 15, however you need to break it up for 5 days a week. Am I right?
yes. And I so appreciate you saying that, because everyone's brain is a little different in how we receive information, how we see it written down. I mean, all kind of how we hear it. So I appreciate you saying that. Me being an endurance athlete, like when I'm in events, like I break things down in the minutes. And so even if I'm looking at 500 minutes, like I know that sounds like a lot, but I can easily decide, linearly think that through really quickly and easily. So I so appreciate you saying that.
Thank
Yeah, 5 days a week is, you got 7 days in a week. So you got 2 days where you don't get, they're off days, they're free days. And I do believe that everyone can carve out 30 minutes in a day. I know that we live very busy lives, and which can tend to be stressful. But if you carve out 30 minutes every day, and I highly recommend just carve it out first thing in the day, and have it be upon awakening. If you want to do your ritual coffee or your meditation in the morning. I do my meditation, actually. I do active meditation. So it was like this morning I went for a run. It was windy, it was very cold, so I was bundled up. But it's, I like to get it done first thing in the morning. But if 30 minutes is too much of a chunk, like we said, like do 15 minutes, and then you can do 15 minutes in the evening. So yeah, I really appreciate you saying that.
I like also what you said about the endorphins kicking in, and there's this feel good thing. We all want to feel good. If there's this place of euphoria that we can be, even for a short length of time, and for us to strive, toward that, I think that too is definitely a good thing. Now, I do have a question. You said that, doing these exercises and the rest can really help us sleep well at night. So if I do it in the morning, how is that going to help me sleep better at night?
Great question. So because it actually starts the whole cycle of your body, your circadian rhythm. So we all have a rhythm that we go with. But there are people that prefer to exercise at night. And I can't, because after I'm done exercising, that endorphin rush stays in my body for several hours. So for me to exercise and then try to get calmed down to go to sleep just doesn't work for me. My circadian rhythm is best exercising in the morning. But so it just starts the day. I've been energized, and it keeps me energized throughout the entire day. And then by the time it's time for me to start my bedtime routine in the evening, then I'm just complete. And so I totally get what you're saying, but what it does is it just starts the rhythm of the day for you. And if you're an exercise evening person, then your rhythm is just a little different. That's all. It's not right. It's not wrong. I've just never been able to exercise at night.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So anaerobic activity. And so what does that mean? I've explained how the body, does the ATP and But when you're in anaerobic and you're not using oxygen, you are having to do these short little bursts. And I don't recommend doing, like I said earlier, less is more. When you're start incorporating anaerobic activity into your exercise routine, if you've never done it, once again, check with your doctor. How I recommend it though is if I'm telling you to, like, we're just going to kind of give a cookie cutter. And this is why you need to check with your practitioner or your trainer because they know where you're at because everyone's a little different. So I'm just going to give very basic how you get started if you've never done anaerobic. So let's say you are doing your 5 days a week of aerobic activity. I would take 2 of those days and I would break them up in between the 5. And all you're going to do is 15 minutes of that 30. You're going to focus it be on anaerobic. And it's just you start playing with numbers. And so every 2 to 3 minutes, you're going to do a 15 to 30-second burst. And that's if you're going out and doing aerobic activity, to incorporate anaerobic into it. So, and the reason I say 15 minutes is you don't really need or want to go longer than that because it can be quite exhausting. If you've ever gone max effort, you can't really hold it up for very long. And that's why for 15 to 30 seconds, in between that, you're going to want the full 3 minutes to just let your body recoup, catch your breath, and get ready to go again. So in the span of 15 minutes, you're really only going to be doing maybe 5 bursts. But the benefit of that is ginormous. So a little bit of work is going to give you increased muscle mass, and I'm telling you, ladies, you're not going to become like a bodybuilder and all bulky. When I say increased muscle mass, it's just going to increase it because from the year 27 years old on, most people on average will lose 1% of their muscle mass. That's huge unless you are doing something to actively slow that process. So even for someone like me that actively lifts weights 5 days a week, I'm still losing muscle. I'm not as strong today at 48 as I was at 35, but I'm strong for 48. So it's important that you are doing things that will increase your muscle mass as you age because you're naturally losing it. There's nothing that you can do to stop it. It's just Mother Nature and it's going to happen. So make sure you're doing things to slow that process. And doing anaerobic activity actually is one of those. It also improves and increases your bone density.
Right.
As we age, we want. Because if you do take an accidental fall, you don't want your bones to snap. You want them to stay dense and stay together. So the 2 biggest benefits to anaerobic activity is increasing your muscle mass and increasing your bone density.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is it's been proven that if you're incorporating anaerobic activity, you have a healthier lipid profile, meaning the fat in your blood is actually a healthier profile because we have HDL and LDL and good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. Well, the balance is better when you're incorporating anaerobic activity. So if you want to stick to doing anaerobic activity within your cardio, like I said, just pick 2 of your 5 days. And if you're only doing 3 days a week of cardio, then you're only going to do, of aerobic activity. I would encourage you to start out with just 1 day incorporating the anaerobic. And all you're going to do, once again, is every 2 to 3 minutes, probably 3 minutes, you're just doing a 15 to 30-second burst of whatever it is, whether it's swimming or walking. If you're walking briskly, you're going to walk even more briskly for 15 to 30 seconds. If you're able to jog, jog. If you're able to, take a jump rope with you, you could, on a walk, you stop for a second and you're going to jump rope for 15 seconds. And jumping rope is such a fun your face.
Well, no, I'm thinking what's coming to my mind because I heard you talk earlier about the stair stepper and the elliptical and now jumping rope. There are a lot of people, and not just elderly people, but a lot of people who have had knee replacements or hip replacements. Is there a way to do anaerobic exercise in the water? Is there an aqua way to do this so it's less, traumatic, if you will, on your joints and your knees and the rest?
Yeah, you can definitely in the water. I mean, water aerobics are great for you are able to build strength, The problem with water is your gravity has been taken out of the equation. So it's not really going to help bone density. You're going to help your muscles and you're going to help your heart because your heart is a muscle, but you don't have gravity pulling you down. So the bone density part is lost in the water. So that's the thing. So if you have had knee replacements or you have hip or knee issues, this is where it's really beneficial to get a hold of a trainer, and they can help walk you through exercises in the gym, because another way to do anaerobic activity is to do weight training. And I don't mean lifting heavy weights. You don't have to be a power lifter. Yes, powerlifting is an anaerobic form of exercise, but it's not necessarily the best solution for a lot of people, especially as they age. Powerlifting is just not, that's a less than 1% of the population in their 70s is doing powerlifting still. So but you can be doing body weight exercises. If you're doing squats, body weight squats.
Oh, that's my knees again. Why? No, no, you've got 48-year-old knees. No. If we have a question here, I'm going to go. If I didn't like her so much, I'd be mad about her and just hate her so, but no, Coach. Erica, thank you for joining us. Erica asks, can going from walking to marching provide enough challenge to make it anaerobic?
Yes, Erica, great question. And yes, it can, because you're actually using those muscle groups a little more aggressively. And marching is actually a really great exercise for really anybody to do, especially but as you're getting older, because we tend to start to shuffle. And marching still trains the brain that lifting the leg is really important. And so I have my mom marching when she does her stuff. And a lot of that is so that her brain can still know how to lift that leg, and marching is just an over exaggeration of walking. So yes, absolutely, Erica, that's a great way to increase the heart rate, and you'll feel it. And especially if you get those arms going in that march.
Can you do that and step in place? Or do you have to
100%.
be on the
You
move?
don't have to move forward. Not at all. And sometimes for some people too, it's called a farmer's carry. But you're holding, if you don't have weights, you can fill, water bottles up to a gallon jugs, because a gallon is about 8 pounds. And holding that out is really good too, because it's going to increase the heart rate, because grip strength is actually a good indicator of longevity. And because if you can't hold on to things, that's a problem. And so doing, just a farmer's carry, holding two things out and marching in place, you'll feel your heart rate jump up.
And some people, you may also do this kind of thing with canned goods.
Oh
If you
yeah.
and you can just hold those in your hand, just anything that you're going to have at home and around that'll be helpful to do this. I really appreciate what you're sharing with us here and finding ways that can meet the needs of everyone, no matter what level, I guess I want to say, you're at. For those of us who have been more sedentary and those of us who have been out there doing our thing, to find that balance to get us going and be encouraged. Everyone, be encouraged no matter where you start from. At least we're here to start. How about that?
Yes.
That,
Yeah.
that beats the alternative. At least we're here to start, so we can start. And then maybe we can do this with a group of people.
Oh yeah, doing it with people is 100 times better than by yourself, because you have the camaraderie and you're being a catalyst for them as well as they are for you. And so yeah, having people is I mean, I think it's great. Um, and I see a question here about stairs, and I would say yes, stairs are a great way. You can do a stair climber even at the gym, because it's a confined environment. You also have two rails to hold on to. And but yes, stairs are a great way. But if you're doing them outside, the one thing I love about it is going up the stairs as well as coming down. When you're coming down, you have to work on your muscles a little differently. Don't just drop down to the next step, but really work on that eccentric and concentric contraction of your leg, of lowering yourself. And stairs is a great way to also stay super mobile, as also with your brain, you know, because it's just, my biggest fear for older people is they lose that ability to send signals from their feet to their brain and back. And stairs is a great way, because a lot of people fall on stairs. Oh, Pam, that is awesome that you use an 8 pound weight vest to go on your walks. That's called rucking. And so recking is a form of exercise aerobic activity that can also turn into anaerobic very quickly by wearing extra weight. And it does put extra stress on your joints and it helps with bone density. And so kudos to you for wearing 8 extra pounds.
Well, I'm carrying 8 extra pounds, so I don't need to just put it on to wear it, honey. I already have it. Thank you very much for that, Pam, but I already got mine. All right. Coach, I want to say thank you for being here with us today and sharing so much wonderful information. Please tell all your friends about Back to Basics, and we're going to be back in a couple of weeks. And Coach is going to give us some advice and some information about ending our years in a very, very strong way. We thank you again for being here. Pray for us, and we'll pray for you. God bless.
Thank you.